Are we on the air?
Ruh-roh. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we are back at the shop, and as you can see, we're outside in this shaded corner. It's just that busy here. We are going to finish this car up today. I don't know if I showed you guys. I think I showed you all the exhaust updates and everything's done here. We're going to put the harness and the fuel pump in this thing today, and we are going to make this thing run. So she's just about done. Customers are going to be really happy. This car is going to rip. And it's just about time for the season to start, so it's going to work out really well. Probably on my first trip to Glamis Fab this season, I can tow this thing out there for him, and then he can take it from there. But yeah, man, everything's done. The exhaust is in, everything's kind of buttoned up. I'm going to go ahead and put the wire harness on it now, so we're going to pull the intake manifold off and get the wire harness laid in and start the electrical. And by the end of the day, we should have this thing running. So you guys stick around with us while we finish this thing up. All right guys, so this is what one of my harnesses looks like laid out. It's just a modified OEM harness. I've removed all the automatic transmission stuff and removed everything you don't need. I think you guys have seen that in some of my other videos. Got the relay packs wired in right here, ECU there. So we're gonna go ahead and get the intake off, get this thing laid on the motor, and get her plugged in. Alright guys, I don't know if you can see this or not because of where I got the camera mounted, but we've got the upper hat of the intake manifold taken off. We're going to get that, once we got that off, we have access to the injectors, so now we can lay the harness in. All right, so we got the harness laid in, got this all bolted up, got the injectors plugged in here, coils plugged in. We're going to hook this up to the valve cover over here. So now that all this is done and tucked away, we can get the intake manifold set back on there for the last time. The wire harness is back on the motor, intake manifold's back on. I realized that I overlooked a couple of things. Normally, when I make all these harnesses, I make them for non-flipped manifolds. And if you guys have me make you a harness, you got to let me know if it's flipped or not. I made this harness for this car, and I've been making so many of these lately, I totally forgot that on this car that we're doing, the manifold is flipped. So the TPS, the IAC, and the map sensor will not reach. They're tucked way in the back here. So I already cut it out, cut the loom out, and I'm going to go ahead and snip these off and get them extended. And we'll run them probably up here underneath and then get them plugged in up here. Shouldn't take me very long to extend those. And then normally we mount the ECU and relays underneath that back seat, but for some reason this back seat is really low. So we've got all this bracketry back here from all the old VW oil coolers and stuff. I think we're going to mount the ECU and the relays right up there, and we'll have plenty of room on the harness. All right, so let's go underneath here. We got the ECU mounted up above the tranny there. Got the relay packs mounted here. We're gonna get all this cleaned up and buttoned up. It'll be all tidied once this is all hooked up. And we're gonna run over and get a fuel pump right now. I think we're gonna mount the fuel pump here. And since the tank's here, the send's right down at the bottom. So we'll get all the fittings hooked up, and then we'll put a return line up there in the neck, in the fill neck. So we got the fans wired up, just finished doing that, and then got this wiring done down here. We got to go pick up a fuel pump still. This is our trigger wire that activates. This is going to go to our ignition. This one goes out to our fuel pump. The fans are already hooked up, and then these go to our batteries. So we're pretty much wrapped up here. I'm going to go pick up the fuel pump in a few minutes and get it mounted, and then I'm starting to work on extending the TPS map sensor and IAC wires. We also have to do the intake air temp as well. And then I'll pick up some vacuum lines. We'll get in some a plug kit. We'll get this stuff plugged off that we don't need, and then get this extended over to the PCV valve over there. So guys, while we're back in the shop again today, we're going to do a quick little shop update. This car's got the dash set in it, and the hood is, yeah, it's over there. So it's getting a dash and a hood, center console. I think you guys I showed you this in the previous video. Here's the white GP105 for gear 1. Joe started the assembly. The arms are hung, front and rear. I got the floors in, the shifter in. So this one's going to be coming right along. And then this car, I don't even think I showed you guys this car. This is a Tatum Black Widow. This was outside on a trailer. We're doing, well, we already did it. Put a new blower motor in it, new LS7 blower motor, and put an S4D or S5. Is this S5 or S4? Yeah, the S4D. So this has got the big ring and pinion in it. This is the bad boy tranny right here. So I think this had an S4 in it before, but when you put the S4D in it, you've got to move everything back 2 inches. So we made a new back half for the car, new motor mounts. Got the motor in, made an intake for it. I think we're waiting on one air filter and a little bit of wiring. This car is getting the Holley Terminator X-Max. So that should be pretty cool. I'll be wiring this thing up this week. So I'll be shooting video on that for sure. I've done a couple of these systems in a couple cars. In that 60 Caddy I did, and I did one in the Ford F-150 that's got an LS in it too. It's a really cool setup. He was missing the display screen, so I got that ordered. It should be here in the next couple days, and then I can wrap up the wiring on that car. Let's jump into the fab room here, and this orange car is 100% complete minus the wiring. So I think the owner of this car and the owner of that car, I think it's the same. I'm pretty sure it's the same owner. So we're doing 2 cars for them at once. And then the GP105, our wiring guy's been working away on this, getting it wired. I was waiting for the... All right, so my other camera died, guys. Sorry about that. So you can see they got the radios installed, and we're just waiting on the wiring guy to finish up the wiring on this. I was waiting on the injector top hats to come. I got them here, so we can get the injectors installed in this thing tomorrow and get the intake manifold set back on. And this car, once he finishes wiring, this thing will be just one cleanup away from being finished. So, had a lot going on here at the shop, and just moving out like crazy. It's the end of the day. We got most of everything done. I got all the wires extended for the map, the TPS, and the IAC. Also had to extend the intake air temperature sensor. Ran that around the back. Need to get a cap kit and cap this off. And then we got the fuel system done. Got a fuel pump and filter mounted down there. Got the fuel lines ran. Got them ran up here to the banjo. Got the return line done. Got a fitting put in the side of the neck and the fuel cell for the return. And this thing is about ready to fire, guys. So we're going to call it a day here, and we'll be back tomorrow with a battery, a tensioner, and a belt, and we're going to fire this thing up for the first time. So we'll see you guys tomorrow when we're ready to fire this thing up. All right, guys, so as you can see, we're back at the shop again today. We're going to go ahead and try to wrap it up on this blue car today. We've got everything pretty much finished up. We just added some coolant to it. We're about to do the first fire up, so it's got oil in it, it's got coolant, all the wiring's finished up. We temporarily got a big battery up here. I've got the small battery on order, and as you can see, we've also installed the electric power steering unit. Joe went ahead and took care of that for me before he took off, so I've got to get this wired up and get the front seal on there. But yeah, guys, we're going to go ahead and fire this thing up for the first time and see how she sounds. So here we go. Fired right up. Sounds real healthy. Top off this coolant. letting air bubbles come out of there. So we still got to get a belt for this thing. The one I ordered was a little bit too long, but we'll got a little bit of wiring back here to button up with some tie wraps, but this thing's ready to go, guys. Okay, so when we were running it before, it was idling a little high, and what happens when these things sit a long time, coolant actually passes through these passages, and when it dries out, it makes the idle air control valve stick. See, this is worked with a magnet. There's a magnet inside here, actually two magnets, and then the rod's magnetized and it spins and it opens and closes this bypass valve for air. So what happened, it was stuck all the way open, so it was sucking a bunch of air and idling high. So we're going to plug all this back in, pull all the stuff off the motor here, and give her another fire up. See if we can't get it to idle down a little bit. Let's move this stuff off the top. And here we go. Still idling high. There we go. Get this adjusted down, get it tightened up, and we should be good to go. That's more like it. And that's still high idle because it hasn't warmed up yet. Once it warms up, it should drop down a little more than that. This motor sounds real good. All right. We're going to go ahead and let it warm up and get these fans to cycle, get this coolant bled out. Guys, well, it took us forever to get the coolant bled in this thing, so we finally got it bled. Go ahead and fire up. Up a few more wires, just tie wrap some stuff up, but that's pretty much a wrap on this car, guys. This one's all finished up, and it's going to be heading back to the customer. I'm going to come back tomorrow, wire in the electric power steering, and that's it, man. We'll get this thing cleaned up and get her off to the customer. So once again, guys, thanks for watching. Give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you next time.